They said he was too dumb for college. A teacher, someone meant to guide him, laughed in his face and told him he'd never amount to anything. But what happens when the same student they tried to humiliate walks across the stage years later as valedictorian? This is the story of Oliver, a young black student underestimated, mocked, and dismissed. But when life cornered him, Oliver found a strength no one thought he had. And in the end, it wasn't just Oliver who learned a lesson. Oliver sat in the back of the classroom, head down, scribbling in his notebook. He wasn't a loud kid. He wasn't trouble. He was just quiet. The type teachers often overlooked, but that day, in front of the entire class, Mr. Henry, his teacher, called his name. "Oliver, read the passage out loud." Oliver froze. He hated reading in front of people. He stumbled over a word, his tongue twisting nervously. A few kids snickered. Henry smirked. Then, with a sharp voice that sliced through Oliver like a knife, he said, "See? This is what I mean. Oliver, you're wasting your time here. Kids like you, you're not college material. You're too dumb for that." The class went silent. Oliver felt his chest burn with shame. His classmates avoided his eyes, but he heard the whispers, the chuckles, and in that moment, Oliver made a silent vow. He would prove Henry wrong. But proving someone wrong is easier said than done. Oliver wasn't a straight A student. He struggled. He failed tests. He didn't always understand the lessons, and every time he stumbled, Henry's words echoed in his mind. "You're too dumb." At home, Oliver's mother worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. She couldn't sit and tutor him for hours, but she gave him something else: belief. She looked him in the eyes one night when he was ready to give up and said, "Baby, don't let anybody write your story for you. If you want college, you'll get there, but you've got to fight for it." And Oliver decided to fight. He began waking up early, long before sunrise, to study. He stayed after class with teachers who were willing to help. He turned his lunch breaks into reading sessions. There were nights when his eyes burned from exhaustion, but he kept going. Slowly, painfully, his grades started to rise. But Henry never let up. When Oliver handed in a paper, Henry sneered, "Who wrote this for you?" When Oliver answered a question right, Henry muttered, "Fluke." It was as though, no matter how hard Oliver tried, Henry couldn't stand to see him succeed. And yet, every insult was fuel. By senior year, something remarkable happened. The boy once labeled too dumb now sat at the top of his class. His GPA was the highest in the entire grade. Teachers who once overlooked him now sang his praises. College acceptance letters began to arrive, one after another. Scholarships, opportunities. Oliver's mother cried the day the letter came from his dream school. A full ride. But the real moment of justice? It came at graduation. The auditorium was packed. Families cheered, cameras flashed. Mr. Henry, dressed in his academic gown, sat with the other teachers, smirking as always. And then the principal's voice rang out, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome this year's valedictorian, Oliver Williams." The crowd erupted. Henry's face froze. His smirk vanished. He shifted uncomfortably as Oliver, the boy he called too dumb for college, walked confidently to the podium. Oliver looked out at the sea of faces. He took a deep breath, and then, his voice steady, he began. "They told me I wasn't smart enough. They told me I'd never make it. But today, I stand here as proof that sometimes the ones people count out are the very ones who rise the highest." The audience roared with applause, and as Oliver's words echoed through the hall, Henry sat in silence. No defense, no excuse, just the bitter taste of his own failure. Oliver had learned something powerful, that it's not the voices that tear you down that matter. It's the ones you choose to listen to, because in the end, no teacher, no critic, no enemy has the right to decide your destiny. Only you do.
If you find this story interesting, kindly support us by hitting the like button and subscribing.